The next talk of the day is probably a very broad talk as far as showing the utility of CHARMM++ is concerned. It's a group effort. Harshita led this effort in developing a series of mini apps in CHARMM++. This has been an ongoing effort. As you know, we had an HPC challenge award that 2 years ago that we shared with Cray at HPC Challenge competition at Supercomputing. We had another finalist, the 2012, and so some of these mini apps came from there. Some have been added new. Many have been updated and improved. And so Harshita will talk about those. And basically, the talk is titled CHARMM++ in Practice.
Thank you, Professor Kale. So as he mentioned, the title of the talk is Parallel Programming with Migratable Objects in CHARMM++ in Practice. So this is a group effort that has been going on for many past years. And some of the members whose work I'll be presenting today are mentioned here. So I'll talk about what are the main challenges that are faced by applications of today to efficiently scale to large number of processors. Then I'll go into the details of the RTS design that help alleviate some of these challenges, and what are the design decisions that went behind it and the features that get enabled due to those designs. Finally, we'll show that these CHARMM++ based design is capable of taking care of a wide range of mini applications. And these mini applications are usually representative of the full application. These mini applications have been implemented in CHARMM++. So what is the main challenge that is faced by applications to efficiently utilize the increasing power, computational powers that are available today and also in the future machines? So one of the main challenge is handling the dynamic variations. So these dynamic variations can be due to application itself. So the application can be using certain algorithms which require irregular communication, or adaptive refinement which introduces load imbalance, etc., etc. The other case when the dynamic variations can be introduced is by the machine itself. There could be faults in the machine, or we want to constrain the temperature or power, or there is heterogeneity in the machine. So these are some kind of dynamic variations that are present. So how can an application still efficiently scale in the face of these kind of dynamic variations? So the runtime system are considered as a very essential component to handle these kind of dynamic variations. So, but just runtime system alone cannot do much, right? The programming model needs to support it based by providing it some of the design attributes. So we'll talk about some of the design attributes that are essential, but I'll just briefly talk about it because most of the people here know about it. So to efficiently empower the runtime system, the programming model needs to support over-decomposition, migratability, and asynchronous message-driven execution. Over-decomposition basically means decomposing the computation of an application into many more work and data units than the execution units. So the runtime system can manage the over-decomposed objects, map them onto processors depending on the load, communication pattern, etc., etc. So this is what is over-decomposition. Migratability is the ability to move work from one processor to another. So migratability along with over-decomposition enables many features such as like load balancing, fault tolerance, temperature, energy constraint, then malleable job scheduling, etc. I'll talk about some of these features in the following slide, but this is the general idea. Finally, asynchronous message-driven execution. So in a message-driven execution, a work unit is being executed whenever a message is received for it, and not in a pre-programmed manner. So, and asynchrony means the sender need not block for any immediate receive from that receiver. So this is also very critical. This enables many things, such as, for example, if an application has to wait for a message, So there is some delay in the message. Then there could be idle time, and this idle time affects the performance of the application. But while the work unit is waiting for a message to come, another work unit which is ready can be executed. So we are able to handle message latency by overlapping the computation with the communication. And another thing that comes out of this is you're able to spread the communication over time, and thereby reduce the pressure that is put on the network also. So Charm++ programming system uses all these attributes, and by using over-decomposition, migratability, asynchrony, we are able to get a very adaptive, introspective runtime system. So here are some of the features or capabilities of the runtime system that is enabled by the design. I'll talk about these in detail, but I've just mentioned the key ones here. There are many, many other ones too. So load imbalance is a very critical factor that affects the performance of an application. So for some applications, you can do a static load balancing, for example, like you do it at the very beginning and don't have to do it again. But for many class of applications with dynamic characteristics, the load imbalance varies during the execution, during the runtime of the application. So we need to perform dynamic load balancing. So over-decomposition with migratability enables load balancing. So the runtime system monitors the application, identifies load imbalance problems. Since there are many more objects mapped to processors, it can migrate the objects based on the communication pattern to reduce communication or want to balance the computation load. So Charm++ has a very rich, mature load balancing framework in it. We have many load balancing strategies as well that cover a wide range of things such as communication aware, computation centralized, hierarchical, distributed, and all sorts of load balancing framework. So the applications, depending on their need, can choose a load balancer to use. And it's very easy to use the load balancer also. Faults are becoming more prevalent as the system size scales. So it is becoming very critical that you don't want to restart the whole application when a fault occurs. You want to restart only from a certain point till the point that you have already executed. So the way it is done in Charm is with migratability, we are able to easily handle this. So the state of the application, it can be checkpoint to either disk or memory. And then when the runtime system notices that there is a fault based on the heartbeat mechanism, it can automatically restart these execution units on another PE based on the checkpoint. So, and Charm++ also provides four or so schemes for fault tolerance, which includes in-memory checkpoint, disk checkpoint, message logging, etc. Power and energy have become a big concern for the exascale machine, right? So one way to reduce the power would be to reduce the cooling energy, because studies have shown that a large part of the energy is used for the cooling energy. So how do we reduce cooling energy? We reduce the temperature of the room, but then reducing the temperature of the room can increase the chip temperatures. And we don't want the chips or cores to be overheating. So the way we have in Charm++ is the runtime system monitors the machine characteristics, machine temperature, and whenever it goes beyond a specified threshold, we use DVFS to control the temperature. But then just so DVFS basically means dynamic voltage and frequency scaling. So the cores which are having a higher temperature, their frequency is reduced, and the cores which haven't reached the threshold temperature, their frequency can be increased. But then doing DVFS this way can introduce load imbalance now in a tightly coupled application. So we also have framework and the runtime system that will monitor for load imbalance and trigger load balancing whenever it is required. So this way we are able to constrain the temperature and also minimize the timing penalty that is triggered due to the DVFS. So malleability is basically the ability to shrink or expand the number of processors that are assigned to a job. So why is this useful? This is because in clusters, this will help improve the utilization of the cluster and also reduce the average job response time. So with migratability, this can be easily achieved, right? Because the runtime system already takes care of mapping and remapping of objects to processors. So whenever we need to shrink a job, the runtime system will evacuate all the objects from the node that is being kicked out and migrate it to other processors. And when we are expanding, the objects can be migrated from other PEs to the newly assigned node. Next one is communication optimization using TRAM. In some applications, when there is a large number of fine-grained messages, the overhead of the fine-grained messages can constitute a large portion of the total application time. So we use TRAM, which is Topological Routing and Aggregation Module, to aggregate these fine-grained messages into large message and route it. With all these complexity and dynamic variations, runtime systems are becoming very popular in handling these kind of variations and taking care of the performance of the application. So the key idea is we don't want to put too much burden on the programmer to monitor all these variations and change the application accordingly. So in CHARM, we have an introspective runtime system module called control system, which basically collects certain characteristics of the application in the machine, monitors them frequently, and then analyzes it to figure out what are the changes that are required. So the application interacts with this control system based on control points. These are basically parameters that can be tweaked. So the control system, after monitoring the application, will decide which control points to tweak and how to adjust them. And it can reconfigure the application to improve the performance, basically. Interoperation. So what is interoperability? The motivation came from the fact that many applications require modules that are best fit for certain kind of parallel programming paradigms. So to obtain the best productivity and performance, we want the programmer to write these modules in the language that is most suitable for it. So interoperability is basically enabling these modules, which are written in different languages, to interoperate, to execute it in the same application. So in CHARM, we have implemented interoperability between MPI and CHARM++ module. We also experimented the practical utility of this interoperability using CHARM, which is not CHARM++, which is a cosmology code written in MPI, and we find that that's a scalability plot of that application. We find that towards larger number of cores, about more than 20% of the time was taken up by sorting algorithm, histogram sorting algorithm. So, and CHARM was providing a highly parallel, scalable histogram sorting algorithm. So when we replaced the sorting algorithm in the native code with the CHARM++ library, the performance of it improved significantly, and the total execution time for the sorting from 23% came down to just 2%. So this is one of the examples where interoperability, one way or the other, CHARM++ module in an MPI application or an MPI module in CHARM++ application can significantly improve the performance of an application. Now I'll go into the details of mini applications that are written in CHARM. These mini apps are representative of full application in that they capture the communication pattern and certain computation kernel of the full application. Most of these mini apps have dynamic characteristics in them, in that they have load imbalance or adaptive refinement or something like that. And we show that these features and the design model that we talked about is applicable to a wide range of mini apps. So here's the adaptive mesh refinement mini app. Adaptive mesh refinement is widely used for obtaining numerical solutions for partial differential equations. So if we have a simulation which uses AMR, the certain regions of the mesh which requires higher resolution are being refined, while keeping the other regions of the mesh at a coarser refinement level. And we can see that in the simulation that is shown here. So in the AMR3D is a mini application that is written in Jam++. So if we use a process-based decomposition, many of the blocks are assigned to one process, and the programmer has to explicitly take care of managing all these blocks, taking care of its communication, refinement levels, etc., because these blocks can be at various different refinement levels. If we look at the object-based decomposition model, which is used in Charm, every block becomes a char element, and they are independent and they are migratable. So this makes it very easy for the programmer to code, maintain, and debug the whole process. So during refinement process, new blocks are being created, which is taken care of by dynamic insertion of char array elements in Charm. And during coarsening, these blocks are being deleted, which is also happening in a dynamic fashion. The runtime takes care of all those dynamic insertion, deletion, and all the things that come with it. Also, this dynamic refinement and coarsening introduces quite a lot of load imbalance. And that was one of the significant factor that was hampering the performance of this application. So since Charm has a wide range of load balances, we could try the different load balancing strategy. But the one that we use for this is a highly scalable distributed load balancer, which uses partial information about the global state of the system to efficiently load balance this application with very minimal overhead. So here we see the strong scaling result of AMR3D. This was run on BlueGeneQ 128K cores. X-axis is the number of cores and y-axis is the time per step. We see that we are able to achieve good scalability till 128K cores with about 46 to 50% efficiency. And the distributed load balancer is able to obtain about 40% benefit at 128K cores. Here over decomposition also helps quite a bit, because when certain blocks are waiting for some messages to arrive, the other blocks can overlap it. And that overall helps improving the performance of the application. We also have tried the fault tolerance protocol in AMR. We used in-memory checkpoint for this purpose. This is a plot that shows as we increase the number of cores, what is the checkpoint and restart time. You can see that the checkpoint restart time decreases with increase in number of cores. This is a strong scaling result. So the amount of checkpoint that each core has to do also decreases with increase in number of cores, which is why these time decreases. And at 32K cores, the checkpoint time is only 29 milliseconds, and restart time is only 470. Yeah. How many total cells? 9 is what I used for this. This is in memory checkpoint, so the time takes, yeah. Totals. Right. Sure. So during restart, when we have any faults that occur in between, during restart, you have to obtain the checkpoints that are stored in your buddy processor and put it in another processor and restart from that last checkpoint. That is the time. The fault is detected based on heartbeat mechanism. So the next mini application I'll talk about is molecular dynamics, which is also LeanMD. This basically calculates the forces on the atoms based on Lennard-Jones potential. So here is a domain decomposition of the molecular dynamics simulation. So basically the 3D domain consists of atoms, which is over decomposed into cells, which is a char array. And the computes, which is also a 6D char array, it is sparse, and it performs a pairwise force calculation between the cells. So the computes can be of totally different number than the cells, and they are mapped by the runtime system onto the processors. Here we show the strong scaling results of LeanMD. We use a 2.8 million atom system, ran it till 32K cores on BlueGeneQ. One characteristic of LeanMD is that it has gradual load imbalance, and not any drastic load imbalance that we saw in AMR. So the runtime system monitors the application, and whenever significant load imbalance is triggered, when significant load imbalance is noticed, it triggers load balancing. And load balancing is triggered when it is also profitable, because you don't want to do load balancing very frequently, where the overhead is much more than the benefit that you get. And we use a very scalable load balancing strategy here, which is a hierarchical load balancing strategy. It's able to improve the performance of the application overall using this. Again, we show the fault tolerance protocol in this. We use in-memory checkpoint restart with simulated failures. We show it till 32K cores of BGQ. Again, at the large scale 32K cores, the checkpoint time is only 33 milliseconds. The time taken to checkpoint its data onto the memory, and the restart time when the failure occurs is 139 milliseconds only. BARNSAT is a tree-based n-body simulation code. So here the three-dimensional space consisting of particles is decomposed into tree pieces. So the goal of this BARNSAT mini app is to calculate the forces on these n particles based on gravity. So at each time step, you calculate the forces on these particles and also move these particles based on the force calculation. So here we have a three-dimensional, let's imagine a three-dimensional space with the particles all around. We use different domain decomposition to decompose this domain into tree pieces. Each tree piece, which is a char array element, is responsible for certain regions of the space, a certain particles in this region, and it calculates the forces on them and takes care of moving the particles also. So there are two kinds of work that comes into play during force calculation. One is the local work, which is calculating the force based on other particles in your own tree piece, and the other one is the remote work, which is for which you need to communicate with other tree pieces to obtain the particles information and then do the force calculation. So we use prioritized messaging for this. So the remote work is given higher priority because once it starts, it will start sending the messages. And while we are waiting for the messages to come back, we start the local work, which is a lower priority. And this overlaps quite a lot of delay in message and helps improve the performance. We also use a specialized load balancing strategy for this. So this is using ORB. ORB is orthogonal recursive bisection. So this takes care of some amount of load imbalance as well as the communication pattern while assigning the tree pieces to processors. This is the strong scaling result of BARNSAT for 500 million particle system, and we ran it on 16K cores on Bluewaters. So we find that over decomposition and load balancing improves the performance of BARNSAT with respect to no over decomposition and load balancing. So we try to balance the number of particles in each char almost, keep it almost same, but there is a threshold within which we do it. Yes, so we do in a time step, we have domain decomposition, which distributes the particles amongst chars, and then we do force calculation and migrate particles. Then the next time step again does domain decomposition. So it's a, yeah, the tree has to be reconstructed during every time step. Yes. No, that is a very small portion of the actual force calculation. And in the next talk that Tom's giving, we have Changa, which is an application based on which BARNSAT was written, and we'll show some of the numbers and high scalability that we achieved on 500,000 cores. Yeah, but it's only a small fraction of the total force calculation. Next, we also implemented PDIS mini application using YONS protocol, which is a windowed conservative protocol. So we have a char array, and and each logical process is a char array element, which takes care of executing the events basically. So there are two steps to it. First step is identifying the window in which these events can be executed, and the second stage is actually executing the events. So in the first stage, every logical process, LP, informs what is the earliest time in which an event can be sent. And that is the window in which, that's the earliest time that a new event can be generated. So you find a window in which all the events can be executed without being preempted, and all the logical processes start executing the events. So in this mini app, one key thing is that you don't really know a priori what is the communication pattern. So using an asynchronous message-driven mechanism, you can, whenever a logical process receives a message, it starts executing it. So this reduces the complexity that goes into implementing this kind of mini app. And we also noticed that the key characteristics of PDIS is that it has large number of fine-grained messages, and we use TRAM to optimize this, and we obtain good performance with TRAM. Basically, what TRAM does is aggregate all these fine-grained messages into a large message, thereby reducing the overhead of all these tiny fine-grained messages. So here is the benchmark, the scaling plot of the benchmark, performance plot of this benchmark shown. On the left-hand side is the simulation events per second that we obtain with increasing the number of cores. And we tried for different number of over-decomposed LPs per core. So with 64, 128, and 256. We find that as we increase the number of objects per core, that is, as we increase the over-decomposition, we are able to obtain better events per second. So over-decomposition helps quite a lot in improving the performance. Basically, because if one LP is waiting for, doesn't have any events to execute, another LP on the same P can start executing. And on the other side is the improvement that we obtain from TRAM. That so TRAM is able to improve the performance over the base case quite a lot. And in the 1024 events per LP, we're not even able to run the app, mini app without using TRAM. So it improves significantly. So all these design design attributes we talked about, over decomposition, migratability, and asynchronous message driven, we can use it in MPI applications also, using an AMPI framework that is in CHARM++. So we can port the MPI application that is written into CHARM++, and then it can use all the CHARM++ features that come with it. So I'll talk about what is Lulesh. Lulesh is a mini app from Livermore, and we found that over decomposition of this mini app basically improves improves the performance by overlapping the communication with computation, and also by over decomposing, you are making the domain size smaller, which will fit into the cache now and improve the cache benefit as well. We also noticed that there is small amount of load imbalance in Lulesh, which can be mitigated by load balancing strategies in CHARM++. The migratability can be easily enabled in AMPI application using ISO-malloc framework that's there. It's automatically enabled, and all you have to do is just call the appropriate load balancer, and load balancing is taken care of automatically. The last point that I want to make here is, since we have over-decomposed the domain, we can use any number of cores to execute this, which is not the case in usually in the MPI process. They have to be cubic number of cores. So here is the weak scaling plot of this. On y-axis is the runtime, and x-axis is the number of cores. We find that AMPI version with over decomposition, and find that the AMPI version with over decomposition performs significantly better than AMPI version without over decomposition and the MPI version. It's almost 2.4 times. The speed up is almost 2.4 times. Also, the small amount of load imbalance that is there in the Lulish 2.0 benchmark, we're able to handle that with the load balancer that we use. One more thing to notice here is the 3000 and the 6000 6,000 processors that are here. Those are not cubic numbers, and we can the AMPI version runs for them too. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a cubic number of processors to run this application. So in summary, we have shown that the many applications can benefit from the CHARMM++ design model and the features that get enabled due to this design model. And we are able to improve the performance and productivity of these mini applications. These mini applications are representative of the full application. And if you guys want to read more about the work that has been there, all the papers are there in ppl.cs.illinois/papers. Thank you.